Listen to me very closely because what I am about to tell you is not a coincidence. You did not click on this video by mistake. But before we go any further, I have to be brutally honest with you. This message is not for everyone. If you are perfectly content where you are, if your soul is at peace with your current surroundings, and if you feel no stirring in your spirit for something more, then this video isn't your assignment. Stay where you are. Bloom where you are planted. That is a beautiful season of its own. But for a specific few of you, the chosen ones who have been tossing and turning at night with a restlessness you cannot explain, this is the divine intervention you have been praying for. God told me to tell you, the place you are in can no longer hold the giant you have become. The Lord says in Isaiah 43:19, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." You feel that tension in your chest. That is not anxiety. That is not depression. That is the constriction of a soul that has outgrown its cage. You are like a mighty oak tree trying to grow inside a small ceramic pot. The pot is cracking because your roots are too powerful. God is about to shift you. He is about to relocate you physically, spiritually, and emotionally to a land that matches the magnitude of your calling. Thus, do not click away. Do not let the distractions of this world pull you from this moment. In the next 5 minutes, I am going to reveal the specific signs that prove your departure is imminent. If you leave now, you might miss the very blueprint God is laying out for your next move. I have seen people stay in Haran for 40 years because they missed the signal to cross over. Do not let that be your story. Stay with me, because the shift has already begun in the spiritual realm. And by the end of this message, you will have the clarity you've been begging for. Think about where you've been. Close your eyes for a second and look at that room you're sitting in. Look at that street you drive down every single day. For years, it was home. It was safe. It was enough. But lately, something has changed, hasn't it? The walls feel like they are closing in. The conversations with people you've known for a decade suddenly feel shallow, like you're speaking a language they can no longer translate. You walk through your neighborhood and you feel like a ghost present in body, but your spirit has already moved on. Shamas. You've been asking God, why is it so hard lately? Why do I feel so disconnected from everything I used to love? And the answer is simple, yet terrifying. You have graduated from this level. You are no longer a match for this environment. God is loosening your grip on the familiar so that you won't hesitate when He says, "Go." I see you scrolling through your phone, looking at other people starting over in new cities, finding new communities, and stepping into their purpose. You feel a pang of jealousy, but it's not the ugly kind. It's the holy envy. It's your spirit recognizing a reality that belongs to you. You are measuring the walls of your current life and realizing there is no more room for you to breathe. You've stopped investing in your current space. You don't paint the walls. You don't buy new furniture because deep down, your soul knows you are just a tenant waiting for your lease to expire. You are treading water, waiting for the wave that will carry you to the other side. Shh. You've cried out in the middle of the night, "God, have you forgotten me? Am I destined to stay in this loop forever?" I am here to tell you that every tear has been bottled. Every moment of feeling stuck was not wasted. It was a period of intense internal formation. You were being prepared for a weight of glory that your old self couldn't have carried. If God had moved you 3 years ago, you would have collapsed under the pressure of the new blessing. But now you are seasoned. Now you are strong. The restlessness you feel is God's divine eviction notice. He is making your current nest uncomfortable so that you will be willing to fly. In the book of Deuteronomy, it says, "Like an eagle that stirs up its nest and hovers over its young, that spreads its wings to catch them and carries them aloft." That is what is happening to you right now. The thorns are poking through the nest. It's supposed to hurt a little. It's supposed to feel wrong. Because if it felt right, you would never leave the place that is killing your potential. But wait before you pack your bags. You need to understand the mechanics of this shift. Because if you move out of fleshly impulse instead of divine timing, you will only end up in another version of the same desert. There is a specific way God moves his chosen ones. There is a rhythm to the relocation. If you can master this transition, the provision for your new life will be there waiting for you before you even arrive. I need you to stay focused. We are about to dive into the why and the how. We are going to look at why God let you stay stuck for so long and what he was secretly building inside of you while you thought you were failing. This next part is crucial. It's the bridge between your stuck season and your promised land. If you've ever felt like you were living the wrong life in the wrong place, the next section will explain exactly why that had to happen. The transition is smooth, but the stakes are high. Your future self is waiting for you to have the courage to listen to the rest of this. The heavy lifting in the spirit is done. Now, it's time for your mind to catch up to what your heart already knows. This journey isn't just about changing your zip code. It's about claiming your throne. Let's look at the formation that happened in the dark, because that is the key to reigning in the light. You see, that stuck season you just endured wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a glitch in God's plan for your life. And it certainly wasn't a sign that you were being punished. I know it felt like a prison. I know you looked at the calendar and felt a cold shiver down your spine, realizing that another year had slipped through your fingers while you remained in the exact same spot. Same 4 walls, same draining job, same predictable faces that no longer spark joy in your souls. You felt like you were watching your life through a window while the rest of the world was outside, running, living, and thriving. But I need you to understand something fundamental about the way the kingdom operates before God takes you wide. He must take you deep. That confinement was a laboratory of the soul. Let's be honest about the cost, because we cannot honor the growth if we don't acknowledge the pain. You spent years in an environment that didn't match the frequency of your calling. Think about the energy it took just to survive there. You had to dim your light so you wouldn't blind the people around you. You had to silence your big ideas, because the people in your current zip code only had ears for small talk. You felt like a high-performance jet engine trying to navigate a narrow, winding dirt road. The friction was agonizing. Your body started to react before your mind even had a name for it. That tightness in your chest when you pulled into your driveway, that wasn't just stress. That was your spirit screaming that it could no longer breathe in that atmosphere. But look at what was formed in that pressure cooker. While you were stuck, God was sharpening your discernment to a razor's edge, because you stayed in the wrong place for so long. You now have a supernatural ability to identify what wrong feels like. Most people wander through life settling for okay or good enough. But not you, not anymore. You have lived in the misalignment for so long that your spirit has developed an internal GPS that is incredibly sensitive. Now, the moment you walk into a room, a relationship, or a city that doesn't align with your destiny, you feel it instantly. Your energy drains. Your breath becomes shallow. That isn't you being difficult or impossible to please. That is the gift of discernment that only a desert season can produce. You had to learn what you are not, so that you would recognize exactly who you are when you finally arrive. Think about Joseph. He didn't go from his father's favorite son straight to the palace. He had to spend years in Potiphar's house, a place that looked like a blessing, but was actually Sorel. Then he had to spend years in a literal dungeon. In that prison, Joseph wasn't just waiting. He was being processed. He was learning to lead when he had no title. He was learning to hear God when the walls were thick and the air was stale. If Joseph hadn't mastered the wrong place, he wouldn't have had the wisdom to manage the right place. You are being trained in the same shadow school. The boredom you felt, the repetitive nature of your days, the feeling of being a tree that couldn't spread its branches, it was all designed to force your roots to go down into the only source of nourishment available, God Himself. When you have no external stimulation, when you have no new scenery to distract you, you are forced to go inward. You had to build internal resources. You had to learn how to pray when you didn't feel like it. You had to learn how to trust a promise when the evidence was nowhere to be found. This is why you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness now, because you aren't a shallow-rooted person who needs a perfect environment to stay happy. You are a deep-rooted oak. You have learned how to find water in a dry and thirsty land. This means that when God finally shifts you to your new location, you won't be dependent on that place to sustain you. You will bring the atmosphere of heaven with you because you learned to access it while you were in a holding cell. And let's talk about the people. This is the part that hurts the most, but it's the most necessary. Have you noticed how many people have fallen away lately? Relationships that you thought would last a lifetime suddenly just faded. There was no big fight, no dramatic betrayal, just a quiet, steady disconnection. You felt abandoned. You felt like you were becoming too much for them, or perhaps they became not enough for you. You tried to force the connection, tried to lower your vibration to keep them comfortable, but it didn't work. The gap just kept growing. Listen to me. That was divine surgery. God was disconnecting you from the people who are aligned with the old you. If those people had stayed attached to your soul, they would have acted as anchors, keeping you tethered to the very place you are meant to leave. You cannot take everyone into your next season. Some people are only equipped to handle you in your brokenness. They don't have the capacity to handle you in your breakthrough. God had to isolate you so that you would stop looking for validation from people who can't even see where you're going. Abraham had to leave his father's house. He even had to eventually part ways with Lot. Why? Because Lot's vision was limited to the plains of Jordan, but Abraham was looking for a city whose builder and maker was God. The loneliness you felt while you were stuck was creating a vacuum that only the right people can fill. And believe me, the right people are coming. They are already being positioned in your new location. They are waiting for someone with your specific depth, your specific scars, and your specific wisdom. But if you don't let go of the ghosts of your past, Your hands will be too full to grab the destiny helpers of your future. You had to mourn the loss of those friendships. You had to cry over the what-ifs. That grief is valid. It's part of the price of the promotion. You aren't losing your community. You are upgrading your tribe. I want you to take a deep breath right now. Feel the weight of those years of waiting. It was heavy, wasn't it? But notice something. You are still standing. You didn't break. You didn't give up. The enemy tried to use that stuck season to make you bitter, but God used it to make you better. You are coming out of this with a level of authority that cannot be bought. It can only be forged in the fire of patience. But here is the catch, and this is why you must stay with me until the very end of this video. The shift from stuck to sent requires a specific internal pivot. Most people miss the window of opportunity because they are too busy staring at the closed door behind them. They are so focused on the years they lost that they don't see the path that is opening up right under their feet. We are about to move into the threshold stage, that disorienting space where you are no longer where you were, but not yet where you are going. This is where most chosen ones fail the test. This is where the fear of the unknown tries to drive you back into the familiar misery. Do not let the fear of the transition stop you. The provision for your move is already being released in the spiritual realms. The conversations are happening in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your name is being spoken by people you haven't met yet. But to step into that, you have to understand how to navigate this in-between season without losing your mind. If you feel like you are in a limbo state right now where nothing is moving, but everything feels urgent, then the next few minutes are going to be the most important of your life. We are moving from the why into the when, and the signs of your arrival are much closer than you think. Now, we need to pause for a moment and do something that most spiritual teachers are too afraid to do. We need to talk about the shadow. We need to look directly at the cost of your waiting, because if we don't acknowledge the scars, the healing won't be complete. I am talking about the years you will never get back. I am talking about your late 20s, your 30s, or your 40s. Those prime seasons of your life where you felt like you were running on a treadmill in a dark room. You weren't just waiting on God, you were watching opportunities expire. You watched job openings in other cities disappear. You watched relationships that might have thrived under different circumstances wither away because you were geographically and emotionally landlocked. Let's be real. It hurts. There is a version of yourself that you have to mourn, the version of you that didn't carry this weight of frustration. The innocent version that thought the breakthrough would come years ago. You might look in the mirror and see lines of weariness that weren't there before. You might feel a sense of holy anger when you see others who seem to have taken an easier path, stepping into their promised land without ever having to endure the wilderness you've survived. I want you to know that your grief is valid. You don't have to spiritualize your pain away by saying, "It was all for the best," just yet. You are allowed to say, "It was hard. I lost things. I am tired of being the strong one." But here is the divine paradox. While you were losing time, you were gaining a weight of glory that time cannot buy. You were trading your chronos, chronological time, for kairos, God's appointed time, and in the economy of heaven, one moment in your kairos season will restore 10 years of your lost chronos. Joel 2:25 is not just a poetic suggestion. It is a legal decree from the throne room. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. God is not just going to give you a new place. He is going to compress time. He is going to accelerate your results so that 3 years in your new location will yield more fruit than 20 years in your old one. You aren't just moving, you are being launched. But right now, you aren't in the old and you aren't in the new. You are in the threshold. This is the most dangerous and disorienting space a chosen one can inhabit. It is the liminal space between the no longer and the not yet. You have emotionally checked out of your current life. You look at your house, and it feels like a hotel room. You look at your city, and you feel like a tourist who stayed too long. But the new address hasn't manifested. The contract hasn't been signed. The plane ticket hasn't been bought. You are suspended in midair. Welcome to the Red Sea moment. The Egyptians your past, your failures, your old identity are closing in behind you. The promised land is somewhere ahead, hidden by the mist. And right now, you are standing on the muddy shore with your feet getting wet, wondering if you heard God correctly. This is where the enemy whispers his most lethal lies. He tells you that you've made a mistake. He tells you that your restlessness was just arrogance. He tells you that you're going to end up homeless or abandoned because you quit mentally before you had a backup plan. Listen to the sound of my voice. Threshold anxiety is the proof of your progress. If the enemy wasn't terrified of where you are going, he wouldn't be fighting you so hard for your peace right here on the shore. The reason everything feels so up in the air is because God is rearranging the molecules of your reality. You are currently experiencing identity paralysis. You can't fully invest in your current city anymore. Why would you paint the walls of a house you're about to leave, but you can't plan the furniture for the new house because you don't know the layout yet? You are stuck in maintenance mode, treading water, waiting for the command to cross. During this threshold, your only job is to remain steady. Do not retreat. Do not go back to the familiar misery just because the unknown is uncomfortable. The Israelites wanted to go back to Egypt because they preferred the certainty of slavery over the uncertainty of freedom. Do not fall into that trap. The discomfort you feel right now is the birth canal of your destiny. It's tight. It's dark. And it feels like you're being crushed. But it's the only way to reach the light. I see you sitting there, wondering how the provision will come. You're looking at your bank account and looking at the cost of living in the place God is calling you to, and the numbers don't add up. Good. If the numbers added up, you wouldn't need faith, and God wouldn't get the glory. I need you to understand that in the threshold, provision follows obedience. It rarely precedes it. The Jordan River didn't part when the Israelites looked at it. It parted when the priests stepped their feet into the water. You are waiting for the water to part so you can step. But God is waiting for you to step so the water can part. As you stand in this liminal space, you are undergoing a final system upgrade. Your tolerance for wrong fit has officially dropped to 0. This is a marker of your readiness. A year ago, you could have tolerated a conversation that drained you. Now, you can't even stay in the room. A year ago, you could have worked a job that didn't use your gifts. Now, it feels like physical pain to even log in. This isn't you being difficult. This is your soul becoming allergic to your past. God has allowed this allergy to develop so that you won't settle for a halfway house on your way to the palace. You are being detached, layer by layer. Your language is already changing. You no longer say, "my home," when referring to your current house. You say, "this place." You are canceling subscriptions. You are decluttering your closets. You are thinning out your social circle. You are subconsciously preparing for a quick exit. Like a bird loosening its grip on a branch before it takes flight, your spirit is already catching the updraft of the coming shift. But I have to warn you, the next 5 minutes of this video are the breaking point. We are about to discuss the 5 internal markers that prove your transformation is complete. These are the divine breadcrumbs that God drops when the door is literally seconds away from swinging open. If you miss these markers, you might mistake a divine transition for a personal crisis. You need to know how to read the atmosphere. We are moving from the grief of what was lost into the strategic preparation for what is coming. The vision is getting clearer. The pulse of your destiny is getting louder. And the relocation fund of heaven is about to be released. Stay with me, because the way you handle this specific moment will determine whether you walk into your new season or run into it. The reason most people never make it out of their stuck season is that they mistake a shift for a crisis. They see the crumbling of their current world as a sign of failure, when in reality, it is the highest form of divine favor. God is not breaking your life. He is breaking your chains. And right now, as you stand in the messy middle of this threshold, you need to understand the logic of the master architect. You see, God will never ask you to move into a new house until He has first made you uncomfortable in the old one. If your current life was still cozy, if your bank account was still comfortable, and if your friends were still all in agreement with you, you would never have the courage to leave. The discomfort is the fuel for your departure. Let's talk about the first internal shift that is happening inside you right now: the death of tolerance. This is the first major marker. In the past, you were a master of adaptation. You could smile through a boring meeting, you could endure a toxic friendship, and you could live in a city that felt gray and lifeless because you told yourself, "At least it's stable." But something has snapped. Now, that same stability feels like a slow-acting poison. Your tolerance for wrong fit hasn't just lowered, it has been completely eradicated. When you try to force yourself to just be grateful for things that no longer align with your spirit, your body literally rejects it. This is God's way of ensuring you don't stay in the halfway place. He is making you allergic to your history so you can be attracted to your destiny. Think about the Israelites in Egypt. For generations, they were comfortable enough to stay. But then, a new Pharaoh arose who did not know Joseph, and the labor became bitter. The straw was taken away, but the quota of bricks remained the same. Why did God allow the pressure to increase? Because if Egypt had remained comfortable, the Israelites would have never cried out for the promised land. They would have died as well-fed slaves instead of living as free kings. Your Pharaoh is currently taking away your straw. Your current environment is becoming increasingly hostile to your peace. This isn't because God has abandoned you. It's because He loves you too much to let you die in a place that can no longer sustain your growth. The second shift is the detachment of the spirit. Have you noticed that you are already living in the future? In your mind, you walk through your current grocery store, but you're imagining where the shops will be in your new city. You look at your current commute, and you're already mentally saying goodbye to the landmarks. This is prophetic detachment. Like a tree loosening its roots in the soil before a storm, so it can be transplanted more easily. Your spirit is loosening its grip on your current reality. This is why you feel so floaty and disconnected. You are physically present, but spiritually, you have already moved. Do not mistake this for being ungrateful or checked out. It is a necessary psychological preparation for the speed of the shift that is coming. When the door finally swings open, and believe me, it will swing open fast. God doesn't want you to have to spend months packing your emotional bags. He wants you ready to move at the speed of instruction. Look at the people in your life right now, the ones who are staying behind. The ones who belong to this current season. Notice how the distance between you is growing. It's not that they are bad people. It's just that they are no longer part of your spiritual ecosystem. You are becoming a different species, and you can no longer survive in the same climate they inhabit. The third shift, and perhaps the most beautiful, is the peace that surpasses understanding. Logically, you should be terrified. You don't have a signed contract. You don't have a moving truck in the driveway. You don't have 100% certainty of your next destination. By every worldly standard, you should be having a panic attack. And yet, deep in your substructure, there is a quiet, steady hum of peace. It's the kind of peace that makes your friends look at you like you're crazy. When they ask, "What's your plan?" and you say, "I'm not sure yet, but I know I'm moving," they hear uncertainty, but you feel authority. That peace is the deposit of heaven. It is the proof that the transaction has already been made in the spiritual realm. God doesn't give peace like the world gives. The world gives peace after the contract is signed. God gives peace as the contract is being written. If you have this unshakable knowing that it's going to work out, even when you can't see the how, then you are officially in the final countdown. This peace is your anchor while the storm of the transition rages around you. It is the evidence of things not seen. But I have to be honest with you about the fourth marker, because this is where it gets heavy. The divine eviction. Sometimes, God won't just make you uncomfortable, He will close the door in your face. A lease that you wanted to renew suddenly gets canceled. A job that you thought was secure suddenly becomes untenable. A relationship that was your safe harbor suddenly becomes a source of conflict. It feels like the world is conspiring against you. You might even feel like you're being fired from your own life. But listen to me. Divine eviction is actually a divine promotion. If you won't leave when God whispers, He will make the environment shout. Every closed door in your current city is a signpost pointing to the open door in your new city. Joseph was evicted from the pit to go to Potiphar's house. He was evicted from Potiphar's house to go to prison. And he was evicted from prison to go to the palace. Each eviction looked like a setback, but it was actually a shortcut. Do not fight the closed doors. Do not try to bang them down. If God closed it, it's because there is nothing left for you inside that room. Turn around and look at the horizon. The fifth marker is the appearance of breadcrumbs. Have you noticed the coincidences lately? You keep hearing about a specific city. You see the name of a certain state 3 times in one day. You meet someone at a coffee shop who just moved from the very place you've been thinking about. These are not accidents. These are synchronicities of the Spirit. God is dropping clues to guide your intuition. He is inviting you into a partnership where you follow the breadcrumbs of peace and provision. I want you to realize that you are not behind schedule. You haven't missed it. The years you spent in the waiting room were the years God spent building the foundation of the man or woman you are today. If you had moved sooner, you wouldn't have had the character to stay. But now, you are unshakable. You have been tested by fire, and you have come out as gold. The stuck season is officially over. The threshold is coming to a close. We are about to enter the final stage of this journey, the execution. In the next part of this video, I am going to give you the practical 12-month roadmap to prepare for your physical relocation. We are going to talk about the provision protocols, how to position yourself so that the money for the move shows up exactly when you need it. I'm going to show you the 5 areas of your life you need to audit right now so that your landing is smooth. This isn't just about faith, it's about faith in action. You are about to become the architect of your own exodus. Stay with me, because the most practical and powerful part of this entire message is just seconds away. Now we move from the internal shift to the external execution, because faith without works is dead, and a vision without a roadmap is just a daydream. You have felt the stirring. You have recognized the signs. And you have survived the threshold. But God is a God of order, not of chaos. When He told Noah to build an ark, He didn't just give him a feeling. He gave him dimensions. When He told Nehemiah to rebuild the wall, He gave him a strategy. Today, I am giving you your strategy for relocation. This is the part where you stop being a passenger in your own life and start becoming the captain of your exodus. The first area of your strategic roadmap is financial fortress building. I need you to be very clear-headed about this. Relocation requires resources. God is your provider, but you are His steward. If you are going to move in obedience, you must begin to treat your money like seed for the shift right now. I want you to open a separate savings account, not your general savings, not your rainy day fund. Label it the relocation fund. Even if you can only put $20 a week into it, do it. Why? Because the act of opening that account is a physical declaration to the spiritual realm that you are preparing for a move. It creates a landing strip for divine provision. Every unexpected cent that comes your way, a tax refund, a bonus, a gift, a side hustle, 50% of it goes straight into that fund. Do not spend it on comfort in a city you are leaving. Why would you buy a new couch for a house that no longer fits you? Why would you invest in luxury in a place that has become a desert? You are now in mission mode. Start the snowball method on your smallest debts. Financial freedom equals spiritual flexibility. The less you owe to the people in your past, the more you can give to the calling in your future. Remember, God doesn't just want to get you to a new place. He wants to get you there with your head held high, not dragging the chains of old debt behind you. The second area is logistical groundwork. You need to start doing your homework. If you feel a pull toward a specific region or city, Don't just wish upon a star, research it. Look at the cost of living calculators. Check the job market in your specific field. Look at the housing prices. This isn't lack of faith. This is occupying the land. When the spies went into Canaan, they didn't just walk around blindly. They gathered data. They brought back the grapes. You need to bring back the data. Update your resume today, not tomorrow. Today. Optimize your LinkedIn profile for the city you are going to, not the one you are in. When the divine door swings open, it often swings fast. If you have to spend 3 weeks updating your portfolio after the opportunity appears, you might miss the window. Preparation is the highest form of expectation. The third area, and the most critical for your sanity, is relational pruning and protection. You must understand that not everyone is allowed to see the blueprint of your next move. Some people, even well-meaning friends and family, will try to talk you out of your relocation because your growth exposes their stagnation. They will use logic to mask their own fear. They will remind you of the stability you are leaving behind. Protect your seed. Do not announce your move to the world until the foundations are set. Build a war room of 2 or 3 trusted individuals who have the spiritual capacity to hold your vision without trying to shrink it. You need people who will say, "I see the fire in you, and I'll help you carry the matches." Not people who will bring a fire extinguisher to your divine spark. So, at the same time, you must honor the place where you currently stand. Do not ghost your responsibilities. Do not become a bitter employee or a distant friend just because you are leaving. Leave well. Your character in the exit determines your authority in the entrance. If you can't be faithful in a small, uncomfortable place, God cannot trust you with a large, aligned one. Finish your projects. Close your accounts with integrity. Bless the city that hosted you for this season. Even if it was a hard season, say thank you to the wilderness for the strength it gave you. Then turn your face toward the sun. The fourth area of our roadmap is identity integration. You must start behaving like the person who already lives in the new location. This is what Americans call the winner's mindset. But it is actually a biblical principle. You become what you behold. Spend 5 minutes every morning with your eyes closed, visualizing your arrival. Imagine yourself walking through the front door of your new home. Feel the air of that new city. See yourself in a community of people who actually get you. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a vivid imagination and a current reality. By visualizing, you are desensitizing yourself to the fear of the unknown. You are making the new feel familiar. So when you actually step off that plane or out of that moving truck, your body won't go into fight or flight mode. It will say, "I've been here before. I belong here." The fifth and final area is the principle of small wins. Relocation is a massive mountain, and if you look at the whole peak, you will be paralyzed by overwhelm. Do not try to move the mountain today. Just move one rock this month. Your only goal might be to declutter one closet and sell the items on Facebook Marketplace. Celebrate that. Next month, your goal might be to research 3 neighborhoods. Celebrate that. Momentum is built in the increments. Every small act of preparation is a yes to God, and every yes you give Him on earth is met with a yes from Him in heaven. You will encounter obstacles. Let's be real about that. There will be days when the relocation fund feels laughably small. There will be days when the job search returns 0 results, and you wonder if you're just making this all up in your head. In those moments, you return to the discernment tests we discussed in the earlier parts. You check your peace. Is it still there? You check your tolerance for the old. Is it still 0? If the answers are yes, then the delay is not a denial. It is a refinement period. God is checking to see if you want the destination more than you fear the process. Stay with me, because in the next section, we are going to dive into the transformation markers, the specific, unmistakable signs that tell you the clock has hit midnight and your move is happening now. I am going to show you how to distinguish between a distraction and a divine appointment. You are closer than you have ever been. The atmosphere is shifting, the provision is manifesting, and the door is beginning to creak open. The roadmap is in your hands now. Let's look at the signs that the journey is about to begin. Listen, you have the roadmap in your hands, but now you need the eyes to see the finish line. Because the most dangerous part of any journey is the final mile. It's that moment right before the dawn when the darkness feels the heaviest, and your mind starts playing tricks on you. You start wondering if you're just chasing a phantom. But God is not a God of confusion. He doesn't call you to a new land and then leave you guessing. He provides markers, unmistakable, supernatural signs that prove your transformation is complete and the door is about to swing wide. You need to recognize these 5 markers so you don't faint in the final stretch. The first marker of your readiness is the death of explanation. Have you noticed that you no longer feel the need to justify your restlessness to people who don't get it a year ago? You would have spent hours trying to explain to your friends or family why you feel like you need to move. You wanted their permission. You wanted them to agree that you were doing the right thing, but something has shifted. Now, when people ask you why, or tell you that you're being impulsive, you just smile. You realize that your calling is not a committee decision. You have reached a level of internal authority where God's yes is louder than the world's no. When you stop explaining and start obeying, you are ready. You have moved from seeking validation to seeking alignment. This is the hallmark of a chosen one who is ready to reign. The second marker is the divine breadcrumbs of synchronicity. This is where the physical world starts to mirror your spiritual reality. You start seeing the name of your future city everywhere. You're at a gas station, and the person in front of you has a license plate from the state you're thinking about. You open a random book, and a brochure for that specific region falls out. You might even have vivid dreams about the layout of a house you've never visited. These are not coincidences. They are divine breadcrumbs. God is communicating with your subconscious, letting you know that the path is already paved. It's like the cloud by day and pillar of fire by night. God is making the invisible visible. When these synchronicities increase in frequency, it means the timeline is accelerating. You aren't chasing the move anymore. The move is chasing you. The third marker is the supernatural peace in the midst of absolute chaos. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive sign of all. Usually, when a person is about to move their entire life, Their stress levels are at an all-time high. But for you, the opposite is happening. Even as your current job becomes more stressful, even as your lease is ending, and even as your bank account looks tight, you have this deep water peace. It's the kind of peace that Jesus had in the back of the boat during the storm. You know that the storm is real, but you also know that the boat builder is with you. If you can look at a pile of packing boxes and an uncertain future and still sleep like a baby, you have passed the test. Your peace is the currency of your new season. It proves that you have stopped trusting in your own strength and started leaning on divine providence. Atamistas. The fourth marker is the closing of the back doors. This is the part that feels like a crisis, but is actually a clearance. God is systematically closing every alternative path so that you have no choice but to go forward. Maybe a backup plan, you had a different job offer, or a chance to stay in your current city suddenly fell through. It feels like you're being backed into a corner. But look closer. God is not cornering you. He is narrowing your focus. He knows that if there were an easy way to stay, you might take it because the familiar is comfortable. By closing the back doors, He is forcing you to keep your eyes on the promised land. This is holy necessity. Like the Israelites at the Red Sea, there was no going back to Egypt. The only way out was through. If you feel like your options are shrinking, don't panic. It's because the only option is the one God has chosen for you as. The fifth marker, and the most visceral one, is the physical rejection of the current environment. Your body has officially become allergic to your old life. You might find that you can't even eat the same food in your current city without feeling sluggish. You walk into your local grocery store and you feel a sudden wave of fatigue. You talk to people you've known for years and you feel an actual itch to leave the conversation. This is your nervous system telling you that you are no longer a match for this frequency. You have outgrown the soil. When a plant becomes root-bound in a small pot, it starts to wilt not because it's sick, but because it has no more room to expand. Your wilting is a sign of your greatness. You aren't dying. You're just ready to be transplanted into a larger field. I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. If you see even 2 or 3 of these markers in your life, you are in the crossover zone. The shift is no longer a future event. It is a current reality. The spiritual transaction has been completed, and the physical manifestation is catching up. This is the moment where you must double down on your preparation. Don't let the silence of the threshold fool you into thinking nothing is happening. In the spirit, the angels are already moving your furniture. The provision is being wired into accounts you haven't opened yet. But I have to warn you about the final temptation right before the breakthrough. The enemy will send a counterfeit comfort. He will offer you a reason to stay. An old flame will call. A good, but not God job offer will appear in your current city. A friend will try to guilt trip you into staying. This is the test of your resolve. Will you settle for a good life in the desert, or will you hold out for the great life in the promised land? Do not take the bait. The counterfeit is only sent because the real thing is right around the corner. Stay with me, because in the next section, we are going to look at part 7, the final preparation of the soul. We are going to talk about how to handle the fear of the new and how to anchor yourself so that when you land, you don't just survive, you dominate. You are closer than you were 5 minutes ago. The air is changing. The light is breaking. You are the chosen one, and this place can no longer hold you. Let's prepare for the landing. Before we step into the bright light of your future, we have to deal with the quiet ache of your past. We have to address the shadow work, because you cannot truly possess your new land while you are still haunted by the ghosts of the old one. I need you to be honest with yourself right now, even if it brings tears to your eyes. You have lost time. You have lost years that felt like they were poured into a cracked vessel, never to be seen again. Maybe it was your late 20s, spent in a relationship that went nowhere. Maybe it was your entire 30s, trapped in a job that used your brain but starved your soul. You look at the clock, you look at the calendar, and there is a part of you that feels like you've been cheated. Let's name it the grief of the stagnant years. It is the pain of realizing that while you were waiting for God to move, life continued to happen for everyone else. You saw your friends buy houses while you were stuck in a rental that felt like a holding cell. You saw colleagues get promoted while you were sidelined because of your location. You feel like a runner who was forced to stand still at the starting line while the rest of the pack vanished over the horizon. I want you to know that it is okay to mourn that version of yourself, the one that was younger, more optimistic, and didn't know how heavy waiting could feel. You are allowed to grieve the opportunities that expired while you were geographically and spiritually landlocked. But listen to what the Spirit of the Lord says to you today. Nothing was wasted in the divine economy of heaven. God is a master of waste management. He takes the years the locusts have eaten, the years of silence, the years of hiddenness, the years of feeling forgotten, and he compresses them into a concentrated fuel for your future. You think you lost time, but God says you were in a spiritual incubation. If you had been released into your destiny 5 years ago, you would have been destroyed by the very blessing you were seeking. You didn't have the skin thick enough to handle the criticism. You didn't have the roots deep enough to handle the storm. Those wasted years were actually the years your character was being forged in the dark. You are coming out of this not as a novice, but as a veteran. You carry a weight of authority that those who had an easy path will never understand. When you speak in your new season, people will stop and listen because there is a resonance of the wilderness in your voice. You didn't read about faith in a book. You lived it in a basement. You didn't study peace in a seminar. You grabbed onto it while your world was crumbling. This is why God can trust you with the big territory now. You have proven that you can be faithful when nobody is watching and when nothing is moving. You have survived the silence, and that makes you unshakable. The shadow work also involves releasing the people you feel abandoned you. There were friends who didn't wait for you. There were mentors who stopped calling when you weren't successful enough by their standards. You've been carrying a bag of resentment, wondering why they didn't see your potential. I am here to tell you, they weren't supposed to see it. God blinded their eyes to your value so they wouldn't try to build a monument in your wilderness. If they had stayed, you would have become dependent on their approval instead of God's appointment. Their exit was your protection. Forgive them not because they deserve it, but because your soul needs to be light for the journey ahead. You cannot run toward the promised land while you're trying to carry the corpses of dead friendships on your back. Think of Abraham. He had to leave everything familiar. He had to walk away from his father's house and the comforts of Ur. He carried the grief of leaving his heritage, but he gained the honor of becoming the father of nations. He traded a temporary history for an eternal destiny. You are doing the same. As you declutter your current house, as you delete the numbers of people who no longer match your frequency, as you say goodbye to the landmarks of your stuck season, do it with a sense of holy finality. Do not look back with longing like Lot's wife. Look forward with the hunger of a conqueror. The tears you shed in this threshold are not signs of weakness. They are the lavage of the soul. They are washing away the dust of the desert so you can see clearly again. I want you to take a moment and literally exhale the last 5 years. Release the should have been and the could have been. God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is the only one who can step into your past and rewrite the meaning of your pain. He is turning your mourning into dancing and your ashes into beauty. You are now standing at the very edge of the map. Beyond this point, there are no familiar roads. There are no old comfort zones. It's just you, your faith, and the God who called you. This is where the true chosen one emerges. You have dealt with the shadow. You have honored the cost. And now, you are officially debt-free in the spirit. No more hang-ups. No more regrets. No more looking over your shoulder. In the next section, Part 8, The Threshold of Power, we are going to talk about the final 24 hours before the shift. We are going to discuss the frequency of the new and how to anchor your heart so that you don't get dizzy when the blessing hits. You have survived the death of the old. Now, let's prepare for the birth of the new. The labor pains are almost over. The joy is about to be born. Stay with me, because we are entering the Holy of Holies of this relocation journey. You are now standing at the absolute edge of your old reality. This is the threshold of power. It is that sacred, terrifying, and electric moment where your toes are hanging over the ledge of the known, and the vast expanse of God's next is stretched out before you. If you feel a trembling in your spirit, if your heart is beating with a rhythm you've never felt before, it is because you are currently outrunning your old self. You have reached the point of no return. The bridge behind you has burned to ash, and the only way to survive is to fly. In this threshold, the atmosphere changes. Have you noticed how quiet it has become? The noise of the critics has faded. The chaos of the stuck season has been replaced by a heavy, pregnant silence. This is the silence of the womb before the first cry. It is the silence of the clouds before the lightning strikes. God is pulling you into a deep internal stillness, because where you are going, you cannot be led by external voices. You must be led by the still small voice within. In this threshold of power, your biggest enemy is not the devil. It is your own muscle memory. Your mind is trained to look for limits, but God is calling you into a season of no boundaries. Let's talk about the frequency of the new. Every location has a spiritual frequency. Your current city has a sound. It's the sound of your past, your struggles, and your old limitations. But the place God is shifting you to has a completely different vibration. It is the frequency of alignment in that place. You won't have to grind for every inch of progress. In that place, doors will open before you even knock. In that place, You will find people who speak the language of your soul without needing a translator. But to enter that frequency, you must first tune your heart right here in the threshold. You have to stop rehearsing the song of the stuck and start practicing the anthem of the sent. I see the fear trying to creep in. It's the fear of the greatness. You're asking, what if I get there and I'm not enough? What if the new place rejects me too? Listen to me. The land is already preparing for your arrival, just as God was preparing you for the land. He has been preparing the land for you. There is a house that is waiting for your specific touch. There is a business or a ministry that is waiting for your specific voice. There is a neighbor who is praying for someone exactly like you to move in next door. You aren't going there to try to fit in. You are going there because you are the missing piece of the puzzle. You are the answer to someone else's prayer in that new city. During this final stretch, you will experience time dilation. You will feel like things are moving incredibly slow and incredibly fast at the same time. One day, you feel like you'll be stuck here forever. The next day, a phone call changes everything and you realize you have to pack your life in 72 hours. This is the elasticity of faith. God is stretching your capacity to handle rapid change. Remember the Israelites leaving Egypt, they had to eat in haste, with their sandals on and their staffs in their hands. They didn't have time to let the bread rise. You are in your unleavened bread moment. You need to be in a state of constant readiness. Keep your heart packed. Keep your spirit leveled. The threshold of power is also where the divine downloads happen. Pay attention to the ideas that come to you in the shower, while driving, or in the middle of the night. God is giving you the secret strategies for your new location. He is showing you how to navigate the new job, how to connect with the new community, and how to steward the new level of wealth He is about to release. Do not dismiss these thoughts as daydreams. They are blueprints. Write them down. In the old place, you were in survival mode. In the new place, you will be in expansion mode. You are moving from a scarcity mindset to a kingdom mindset. But here is the final test of the threshold. The test of the anchor. The enemy will try to send one last anchor to keep you tethered to your past. It might be a sudden crisis in a family member's life that only you can solve. It might be a sudden appreciation from a boss who ignored you for 5 years, offering you a tiny raise to stay. It might even be a sudden wave of nostalgia for a toxic ex-partner. These are anchors. They are designed to stop your momentum. You must have the holy ruthlessness to say, I love you, but I cannot stay here. My future is calling, and I must answer. Like Nehemiah on the wall, you must say, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. You are becoming a transitional leader. You are the one who breaks the generational cycle of staying in the same small town, with the same small mindset, doing the same small things. You are the pioneer, and pioneers always feel the most resistance right before they cross the border. The air gets thinner, the terrain gets steeper, but the view from the other side, the view is worth every ounce of the struggle. Look at your hands. They are the hands of someone who is about to build something new. Look at your feet. They are the feet of someone who is about to walk on holy ground. The threshold of power is closing behind you. The shift is no longer a possibility. It is an inevitability. You are literally seconds away from the great crossing. We are moving into the final stage of our journey, where the spiritual becomes physical and the somewhere else becomes right here. In the next section, Part 9, the manifestation of the shift, we are going to look at the actual mechanics of the day of move. We are going to talk about the provision miracle and how to recognize the angel of the house when you arrive. You have survived the waiting. You have conquered the threshold. Now, it's time to take your territory. Stay with me, because the glory is about to be revealed. The waiting room is officially closed. The bell has rung, and your name has been called. We are now entering the phase of physical manifestation. This is where the spirit meets the substance. For months, or perhaps years, this move has lived only in your heart. It was a secret you kept, a fire you stoked in the dark. But now, God is bringing it into the light for the whole world to see. This is the Joshua 3 moment where the soles of your feet touch the water and the dry land appears. You are about to witness the precision of providence. The first thing you will notice in this stage is the acceleration of provision. Throughout your stuck season, money felt like it was slipping through a hole in your pocket. You worked hard, but the harvest was thin. But now, notice the shift. Suddenly, resources are finding you. It's not just about a paycheck. It's about divine logistics. Maybe a house you thought was out of your budget suddenly has a price drop that matches your exact savings. Maybe a company in your new city reaches out to you with a relocation package that covers every cent of your moving costs. This is God's stamp of approval. He doesn't just call you to go, He pays for the trip. Like the Israelites leaving Egypt with the gold of their former oppressors, you are being funded for the future. Do not be afraid of the big numbers. You are moving from a season of just enough to a season of more than enough. Your old mindset will try to tell you to play it safe, to pick the smaller apartment, to take the lower paying job because you're lucky to even move. Reject that lie. God is not moving you to a new land to let you live in poverty. He is moving you to a land of milk and honey. He is looking for a steward who can handle the kingdom budget. When the provision manifests, receive it with humility, but also with authority. It is the fuel for your mission. The second sign of manifestation is the alignment of the gatekeepers. Every new territory has gatekeepers, people who hold the keys to housing, employment, and community. In your old city, the gatekeepers were blind to you. They didn't see your potential. They only saw your past. But in your new land, God has already gone ahead of you and vibrated the hearts of the influencers. You will find that you have unfair favor with strangers. A landlord will look at your application and feel a sudden urge to choose you over 10 other candidates. An executive will read your resume and feel a knowing that you are the missing piece of their organization. This is the favor of Daniel. God is giving you grace and compassion in the eyes of those who rule the land. You won't have to manipulate. You won't have to hustle, and you won't have to beg. You will simply show up in your authentic chosen one identity, and the doors will swing wide. If you encounter a closed door right now, don't panic. It just means that person isn't your gatekeeper. Keep walking. Your Boaz is waiting in the next field. Your Nehemiah's king is waiting at the next table. The third sign is the confirmation of the senses. Your intuition has been your only guide for a long time, but now your five senses are going to start testifying to the truth. You will walk into a house and your spirit will leap, but your nose will also smell home. You will drive down a street in a city you've never lived in, and your eyes will recognize the landmarks you saw in your dreams. This is the nervous system settlement. God is giving your body permission to relax. The fight or flight response that has been active for years is finally shutting down. You will take a deep breath in your new location and feel a weight leave your shoulders that you didn't even know you were carrying. I need to warn you about the chaos of the packing. In the natural, the move will look like a mess. Boxes everywhere, checklists half done, the stress of saying goodbye. But do not let the natural mess distract you from the spiritual order. Every item you throw away is a piece of your past you are releasing. Every box you tape shut is a chapter you are closing. Treat the packing process as a prophetic act. As you clear out your old closets, tell the atmosphere, I am making room for the new glory. I am leaving the debris of my delay behind. And then there is the arrival. The moment your feet touch the soil of your new territory. I want you to do something very specific when you arrive. I want you to claim the ground, whether it's in a parking lot, a sidewalk, or your new living room. Stand still for a moment and declare, I am here by divine appointment. I claim this territory for the kingdom of heaven. Every place where the sole of my foot treads, God has given to me. This isn't just poetry. It's a legal settlement in the spirit. You are not a refugee escaping a bad life. You are an ambassador occupying a new post. You will notice that the warfare changes once you arrive. In the old place, the enemy fought to keep you stuck. In the new place, he will fight to keep you isolated. He will try to make you feel like a stranger in a strange land. He will try to make you miss the comfort of your old prison. Do not fall for it. The loneliness of the first month is just the incubation of the new community. Use that time to root yourself in the Lord. Do not rush to find friends. Wait for God to bring the covenant connections. The quality of the people you meet in the first 90 days will determine the trajectory of the next 9 years. You are witnessing a supernatural relocation. This isn't just about a change of scenery, it's a change of status. You are moving from the shadows to the stage. Everything you learned in the dark is about to be used in the light. The discernment you sharpened, the patience you built, the character you forged, all of it is your equipment for this new land. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. We are almost at the end of this journey. You can see the lights of the city. You can feel the change in the air. The physical shift is happening right now. In the final section, we are going to wrap this all up with a seal of fire. We are going to draw out the ultimate lesson of this journey, and I'm going to give you the final commission. You are the chosen one. The land is calling. The king is watching. Let's finish this strong. The journey from the stuck season to the promised land is reaching its crescendo. You have walked through the fire of the wilderness, navigated the fog of the threshold, and now you are standing at the gates of your new reality. But before you step through, there is one final lesson you must carry in your spirit. Because this relocation was never just about a new house or a better job. It was about the total reconstruction of your identity. God didn't move you because the old city was bad. He moved you because you became too big for it. You have transitioned from a victim of circumstance to a master of divine timing. As you settle into your new territory, you must realize that you are now a pioneer of the new era. There is a specific grace on your life for firsts. You might be the first in your family to break a cycle of poverty. You might be the first in your lineage to move to a place where you are truly celebrated and not just tolerated. You carry the seed of the future in your DNA. This means that your presence in the new city will actually shift the atmosphere of that region. Your neighbors will be blessed because you are there. The economy of that city will feel a kingdom boost because your business or your service is active within it. You are a portal of blessing. I need you to understand the power of the first 90 days. When you arrive, the enemy will try to tempt you with nostalgia for the known. You will have a bad day, maybe the plumbing breaks in the new house, or you get lost trying to find the grocery store and a whisper will come, "See, you should have stayed. It was easier there." In that moment, you must remember the constriction of the cage. Do not trade your boundless future for a predictable past. The adjustment period is not a sign of a mistake. It is a sign of expansion. It takes time for a giant to get comfortable in a new suit. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself the grace to be a beginner again, knowing that your expertise in the spirit will quickly catch up to your environment. One of the most profound lessons you've learned is that God's silence is not God's absence. Looking back, you can now see that in the years where nothing was moving, God was doing the heavy lifting inside your character. He was removing the people-pleasing. He was cauterizing the insecurity. And he was building a confidence that is rooted in him alone. This is your internal architecture. It is what will allow you to stand tall when the blessings start to pour in. Because you have been through the low tide, you won't be swept away by the high tide. You have developed a spiritual equilibrium that makes you unshakable. You are now entering a season of effortless alignment. In your old place, you had to push every door open until your hands were bloody. In your new place, the doors will be automatic. They are triggered by your proximity. As you walk toward your purpose, the resources, the people, and the opportunities will detect your arrival and open of their own accord. This is the reward for your faithfulness in the dark. You are moving from the grind to the flow. You are moving from hustling for scraps to inheriting the kingdom. I want you to look at your life 1 year from today. Visualize it. You are waking up in a home that feels like a sanctuary. You are doing work that feels like worship. You are surrounded by a community that sharpens you and loves you for who you are, not what you can do for them. You will look back at this video, and you will look back at your stuck season, and you will smile. You will realize that every delay was a divine detour that saved you from a crash you didn't see coming. Every closed door was a guardrail, keeping you on the path to the palace. You are the chosen one. And the reason you were chosen for this specific relocation is because God knew you had the steel in your spine to endure the transition. He knew you wouldn't settle. He knew you would keep walking even when your legs were heavy. He knew you would keep trusting even when the world called you crazy. And now, the evidence of your faith is about to be printed on a moving contract, a job offer, and a new driver's license. Take one final look at the old you. Give that version of yourself a hug. Thank them for surviving. Thank them for not giving up in the middle of the night. Then, turn your back. The sun is rising over your new horizon. The air is fresh. The land is wide. The king is pleased. Your exodus is over. Your occupation has begun. You have done the hard work. You have sat through this entire message, allowing these truths to marinate in your spirit. That alone is proof that you are ready. Most people would have scrolled away the moment I mentioned shadow work or grief, but not you. You stayed because your soul recognized the note of truth. You stayed because you are done with shadow living, and you are ready for the substance. As we close this journey together, I want to leave you with a final thought. The place can no longer hold you, but neither can your past. You are a new creation. The version of you that was stuck died in the threshold. The version of you that is relocating is a version that carries the victory of the wilderness. You aren't just moving to a new city, you are moving to a new dimension of living. The ultimate lesson of this story is that God is a master of the shift. He is the one who moves the stars, and He is the one who moves His people. He moved Abraham to create a nation. He moved Joseph to save a world. He moved Ruth to bring a savior. And He is moving you to fulfill a specific, high-level assignment that could only be completed in that specific territory. You are a strategic piece on the divine chessboard. Do not underestimate the importance of your move. For the person watching this who feels a tingle in their hands or a warmth in their chest right now that is the seal of the Holy Spirit on this word, that is your go signal. Do not wait for a more convenient time. Start the financial fortress building today. Do the logistical groundwork today. Make the internal declaration today. The atmosphere is primed for your breakthrough. If you have felt the power of this message, if you know in the deepest part of your being that God is shifting you, I want you to make a public declaration in the digital courts. Comment 999 below if you are ready to embrace the shift and you accept this prophetic roadmap. Let that number be your sign of completion and your vow of obedience. If you're not quite feeling it yet, or if you want me to dive deeper into a specific area like financial provision or handling loneliness, press 0 in the comments so I can improve and create more targeted content for your journey. Your feedback is my fuel. Or simply leave a comment sharing your story. Where are you leaving? And where do you think God is taking you? Your testimony might be the breadcrumb someone else needs to keep going. And before you go, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Why? Because the threshold season is long. And the enemy loves to use silence to make you doubt. You need a consistent voice of truth to keep your faith fueled until you reach your destination. By subscribing, you are joining a tribe of chosen relocators who are all walking this path together. We are your virtual community until your physical one manifests. Sure. God bless you. Chosen one, the land is yours. The timing is His. The victory is certain. I will see you in the new season. Grace and peace be unto you as you cross over.